County Executive Anthony Picente standing by on the line right now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
This is all for the animals, I'm told.
That's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
All right. So I know we wanted to get you, squeeze you in here this morning with everything. It just so happens there's an editorial in today's paper. The OD taking issue with your they're saying that this kind of flies against the consolidation that you're talking about, and that is this coordinator position that you're looking at. I'm sure you read the story this morning. Their editorial?
Sure, yeah. I did.
How do you respond to what they're saying?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, I did meet with the editorial board. This and interesting. We had a lot of stuff in the state of the county, but this didn't come up in that meeting, so they didn't get the whole story, and they did something on it the other day, but kind of also left some pieces out. Okay. I hardly think, and let me answer it this way first. I hardly think creating one position in terms of a government that has over 1,500 is breaking the bank of duplication and consolidation. Right. I mean, I made it very clear to everyone I talked to since, and even in that EDGE is not going away in terms of work with the county.
Uh-huh.
That we still have agreement with them, and we still will continue to work with them and fund them.
They did throw out in the editorial this morning. They did throw out saying there's clearly a rift between EDGE and the county executive.
I think rift is it's a pretty strong word. And look, if anybody who's known me for the last 10 years, that if I have an issue, I say it. I say it very clearly. My statement in my speech was about I believe we were getting a little bit too myopic in terms of economic development, but understanding that EDGE has an important role and will continue to focus on those areas that nanotechnology and Griffith's Business Park and other developments. So I'm not changing that. But no one envisioned 10 years ago that we would be embarking upon so many projects of multi-million dollars in this county, and I think it's important for me and the Board of Legislators to have a person also in place to help coordinate our efforts on this, because in a lot of these efforts, with the exception of state government, we're paying some of the freight, or we're paying in most of that. Now, the other point is there's a lot of economic development agencies, so you can't say that EDGE does not do it for everybody. The city has their own. City of Utica, the city of Rome has their own. Other areas do it. The state does it. There's the Mohawk Valley Economic Development District. There's, clearly the IDA when you talk about Mohawk Valley EDGE and their role. So there's a lot of economic development taking place. Now, however, the county itself, and my point was, we have specific assets and investments in our end of things, such as Griffiths International Airport, the UAS systems, the Union Station, the REA wing, ag tourism, working with the incubator with MVCC. All of those things are important, and I want someone on the ground for us to coordinate all that and to oversee that, and I don't think that's unreasonable.
And that position would be called Director of Economic Development? Is that what it is?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
It would.
Right. I'm going to ask you.
Quick, just, I have a comment, I guess, and a question.
Sure.
The first comment is, if I remember a few years back, getting to this, that there might be a rift between your office and EDGE. If I'm not mistaken, for the last couple of years, and I believe it was the Republican majority, has kind of said we need to look at another avenue. So was this kind of brought on by legislators asking for?
Well, I think legislators clearly have as much of an input as I do. That's very clear in this government, and they appropriate the money that I propose. So a couple years ago, they had actually talked about looking at, you're exactly right, other avenues or an RFP. Now that was regarding some issues that they had concern with, but this is different. This is where we are today, and I go back to looking at the amount of investment that we have as a county in these assets, but also in other aspects of economic development. I proposed a lot about downtown development, and that's on us, and that's something that I want coordinated with with the cities and with others. Sure, and so I don't think a position is creating, like I said, I'm not creating a whole other entity. I'm not scrapping that. I'm taking a piece of what Edge does, and really though, having a direct oversight from the county on as a director of economic development.
And my question was on. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. What does the county pay Edge for economic development services, and what type of a salary would someone be looking at for this director position?
Well, we pay the current contract with Edge for direct services, and that's for their an appropriation for their operations is $350,000.
Okay.
And has been for the last several years now. That is direct appropriation for staffing in their contract. There's also numerous dollars that pass through to Edge that the county appropriates for various projects. I mean, we paid for the appraisal process in the Utica Hospital, so we have a role that really is greater than just just the county in terms of one municipality or two. I mean, we're doing things all across the county. So with that, that's the overall appropriation.
Yeah.
Now the position, and we're just crafting and looking at other counties and what they pay, but you're going to be looking somewhere in the range of 80 to 100,000 because it's going to be a professional, and it's going to be someone that's going to be a search and someone that clearly understands and does economic development. So we're going to go that route, and we're not there. We could probably be mid-year that we put all these pieces together.
Right.
We'll craft a position. I got to send it to the Board of Legislators for approval, and then we can begin the search process.
Would you say this is in reaction to the ball being dropped on AMS?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
All
No,
right.
because I never looked at Edge, and I completely would emphatically say that Edge was not the party that dropped the ball in that in any way, shape, or form. If anything, they were at the forefront of it, handling it.
I'm sure you didn't love the love today's editorial. It's the editorial board of the OD. I like it when they do this.
That's fine. Look, I have to live with the good and the bad. They give me a good one some days, and some days I get another. I get a little,
it's
a little slap. But that's the business. And
that's the business.
Everybody
It
has
is.
an opinion.
I think that having that opinion is important, and alternate opinions. Believe me, I sat with Jim Brock and Brett Truitt the other day. And the hospital, I sat through lunch with them. So alternate opinions, opposing opinions can be healthy at the very least. But I do enjoy it. It's almost the photos they chose, almost New York Post like, because you've got Tony standing there, and you've got kind of a nice smile on your face. But then they take a picture of Steve DeMaio, who's like looking at you. It's a separate picture,
It's
giving
how they put those
as if the expression is saying, "Give me a break." But I think it's kind of funny.
The other point is, and like I say, I have to take the good with the bad. That's part of this business, and I have to listen to everybody, and we do. Now, the point of it is, though, you need to hear the whole side, my whole side of the story,
Understood.
and that wasn't part of what was in that paper because they really didn't talk about it. They talked about the money for Mohawk Valley Edge, and if they're not doing the job, then scrap the whole thing. That's not what I'm saying.
Got it.
And part of what we do with this person will come from that. So we're not going to go reinvent the wheel, but I go back to one position, and I know they make the consolidation argument because yes, I am big on consolidation. I think this enhances what we do as a county in terms of economic development, and I think, like I said, one position does not, I think, break the tide or the bank in terms of saying I got over 1,500 employees. One position is not
right. Okay.
Not creating a whole nother entity.
County Executive Anthony Picente, glad we could squeeze you in on this, and actually it worked out well because had I gotten you the other day, this editorial wouldn't have been in yet. So it gave us,
that's true. You would have called me back.
That's
anyway,
right.
Bill.
We would have. You'd have had it done
I know,
twice.
I know.
So. All right, Tony. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Quick break.